What's going on, Dan K Show fans? Another week, another Dan K Show, and this one is the most difficult show each year. And this year, with the incredible growth and success and just strength of the USPHL, the premier all Dan K and all Lucas J teams are next to near impossible to put together, to draft, to create. The craziest number to keep in mind here, the craziest thing before I introduce in the man who has half of the challenge here, I have the other half. It's this number. 62 teams in the USPHL Premier. Over 1,600 athletes competed in the USPHL Premier this season. Just 2 teams are picked for the All Dan K and All Lucas J team. They amassed all the players from the 62 teams that play in the Premier nationwide. We had to boil that down to 2 rosters. To make this team, a player should be not just proud, but absolutely elated. We have toiled over this. We have slaved over this for hours and hours to make sure that the right guys get picked, and I guarantee you we've missed a million. We've missed a zillion. 2.75% about, but less than 3%. Less than 3% of guys who played in the USPHL Premier this year will make these rosters. And with that, I introduce in my drafting counterpart, but also the evil villain of the All Dan K, All Lucas J team. I am competing against him in the draft. I guess for him, I would be the evil villain, but who knows? He's my right-hand man. He's my consigliere. He's Montfrere from Another Mare. He's Lucas Jones. And Lucas, we kind of wore our competing Dan K Show logos here this week to really drive home that we're competing against each other in this USPHL Premier Draft.
Exactly right. I mean, we know that we are competing for elite talent on our squads, but it's so much harder than that, because you get to a point where not even just you talk about under 3%, you're talking about each one of our teams, Dan, having 7 defensemen, 14 defensemen in the entire league have made either your team or my team. That is an insane number to try to even figure out. There's no way we could do anything except for just pick the guys we think deserve this award. I mean, even the coin flip set the tone for how competitive this was going to be.
Yeah, and Lucas, I mean, you look at that coin flip. It started with that. We used a Buffalo nickel. That's pretty cool. It was heads or Buffalo, and I went with Buffalo. How did that come out?
It came out Buffalo, Dan. So you have decided whether you want first pick or snake pick.
Some people say tails never fails, but I say Buffalo is the right pick because I didn't have a rhyme for it. What am I going to rhyme with Buffalo there? I don't know. Mark Ruffalo? Buffalo. Mark Ruffalo. You pick Buffalo. Mark Ruffalo is a really overrated actor. Oof, Lucas, that's a hot take for a hockey podcast. I'll tell you that much. But he might be the worst. Most things he's in, things get a little bit worse when he's in it. I mean, the Hulk, really? Edward Norton did a fine job. I'm going to be that guy. I'm going to tell you that.
I will agree that Mark Ruffalo is a little overrated. Edward Norton as the Hulk, though, awful take. The worst take possible.
Tell you what, know what's a great take? Selly salt, baby. We've got ourselves some new friends, some new partners. We're in a seasoning game, man. We've got Chef Troy seasoning we're always using to cook, and we got some new seasoning joining the game. How about Luke Cannon and the Selly salt business? Some hockey moms who created some incredible hockey flavoring. Selly salt coming to a kitchen near you. It better be your kitchen. How do I get this, Dan? How do I get the Selly salt? Guess what? Shake, season, Selly. Get a little bark down Selly action here. www.sellysalt.com. Try the taste the Dan K Show loves. I refuse to cook without it. They sent me it for free, and I'm not giving any to Lucas.
Can I have just maybe a little as a treat?
No, not at all. Yes, you can get a little. You can get some. We'll see later. Sea salt flakes, granulated garlic, black pepper is in this Selly salt. This, Lucas, I have tried on a ton of stuff. I mixed it into my pasta. the other day. A little bit of a little fettuccine Alfredo that Dan made for himself.
Ooh.
Actually, a delicious choice by me right there. Also, you've got the chirpin' herb sample, which just has chives mixed in, Lucas. It's got a little bit of marjoram. What's marjoram?
I think it might be related to sage, but that might be good on some potatoes, Dan.
It's going to be delicious on potatoes. I'm just not going to know what it is. And then sin bin fire, baby. Don't go to the sin bin when you're on the ice, but I'll go to the sin bin anytime I want a little bit of a little extra spice, a little extra pizzazz. This is the Dan K of flavorings right here, the sin bin fire.
Well, I'm excited to try a whole bunch when I see you next, Dan, because both of us at this point are huge fans of cooking and especially hockey-related seasoning.
You quarantine me long enough, I'll learn something, and cooking was that thing. Check out, we're going to have some recipes coming up over the off season throughout the summer. Some awesome Selly Salt Dan K Show creations. Dan K. Lucas Jones, www.sellysalt.com. Tell them the Dan K Show sent you and go get that Selly Salt. We can't wait to see your recipes. Share them with us. Hashtag Selly Salt at the Dan K Show. Share your recipes. Lucas, it's enough talking about delicious foods, okay? I've been trying to stall as long as I can without having to make a pick. I won the coin flip. I picked the Buffalo because of Mark Ruffalo. I am going to take the second pick
Okay.
and allow you to pick your coach first. 3 coaches for each side, 3 coaches, 1 owner, 1 senior women's administrator, and 1 broadcaster for each team, same as we did in the Elite. Lucas, take it away, coach number 1.
My first pick for coaches here is a coach that I think really embodies the Dan K Show's hashtag outwork everyone mentality. Dan, I'm going to Minnesota and I'm grabbing an oxen on my way back because I'm grabbing Jay Witta.
Are you serious? You can't. The reason why I gave you the number 1 pick is because I figured you wouldn't take Witta.
Well, you shouldn't have given me the number 1 pick.
All right, hear me out. I get second pick here, right?
Right.
I get second pick. I'm going to take Trevor Jewell.
Ooh.
I'm going to take Trevor Jewell.
Okay.
I mean, you look at Trevor Jewell, this guy alongside Ryan Crothers, man, this guy goes out there, he wins a cup. He was on the golf course the other day, man, with the trophies out there. He's celebrating. He's talking about that Selly Salt action right there. I'm going to make you an offer, though, that Trevor might get pretty mad about here. Because Jay Witta, we need to talk about Jay Witta, okay? Jay Witta didn't just take his team to nationals, didn't just compete for a national title, get close to winning one. He did it without ever making a transaction. And also, they got one of the most fired documentaries on the planet going right now, Thin the Herd, youtube.com. If you're not watching Thin the Herd, don't talk to me until you go do it. You go do that right after you're done watching this. You go do it. Look someone off for your trade. Okay. First trade for coaches in Dan K Show's history. First all Dan K, all Lucas J trade in history for coaches. Trevor Jewell, Trevor Cake Pop Jewell, and a delicious cake pop along with, I'll give you Matt Dibble to scout for your squad going into next year. You can get Matt Dibble, champion Matt Dibbs. You get dibs on the dibs. You'll get Trevor Jewell, and I'll give you a cake pop.
Well, look, Trevor Jewell is an incredible head coach, put together and really instilled a culture in that team. And Matt Dibble is the brains. He is the brains. He's a guy who knows what's up before it even happens. But Dan, Jay Witta has also instilled a culture. He is a phenomenal head coach. He is the heart and soul of that team. But you did throw in a cake pop.
I'll throw in the Selly Salt, too. I'll give you some Selly Salt. I'll make sure you get your Selly Salt.
It's a deal. You have yourself a trade.
Yes! That's how you do it. You throw in the seasonings to be named later. And I get my next pick, too. And guess what? This helps me out because I got Jay Witta. And guess what? I'm staying with the Jays, baby. I'm going with my man, a guy who we're going to have a conversation with soon about a little position with the show here. Mr. Punctual himself, Jay Punske. IHC, absolute stud, took the Elite, took the Premier, took it all to nationals. This is a guy who was a little bit of puck luck, a little bit of bouncing pucks and things hitting posts away from making a trip to the national title game. if you made me power rank the premier at the end of the season, if we did a postseason power ranking, I actually would have had the Florida Eels 3 and IHC 2 after IHC's performance against the Charlotte Rush. That's a hot take.
I like it. I like that pick. Punski's a fiery guy, and I love that about him. Wears his emotions on his sleeve, gets the guys fired up, and you need that. You need that person to really fire that team forward. And Dan, my next two coaches picks, I think, are of the same cloth as Mr. Punski. My first pick from the Great Lakes, head coach of the Toledo Cherokee, Kenny Miller.
Yeah.
And Kenny Miller coached a team that you and I said couldn't do what they did the way they played. We said that they took too many penalties. We said that was going to hurt them come playoff time. And we said that while watching their team run roughshod over some of the best teams in the USPHL. And I think that starts with Kenny Miller. It works its way down to the boys who absolutely played their heart and soul out all playoff long. Dan, my second coach is another coach who came in, created a culture, instilled a fire, got the boys moving in the right direction. It's Coach Yaroslav Modry. How about coming in halfway through a season and lighting a fire under some skates and putting that team on one heck of a win streak?
Yeah, and you look at these two coaches. Look, you start with Kenny Miller, stand-up guy. This is just a salt-of-the-earth dude, Selly Slaw. And you talk about, he's a battler. And his team battles with him, man. And he put guys around him that were winners. You put Tim Jorgen around him. You put these guys who want to get out there and skate the way he needs them to skate to win games. And they bought in, man. And when you buy in, it doesn't matter how you play the game of hockey. If you've got an entire squad bought in the same mentality, the same mindset after the same goal, you can see just how great things can be. And then you talk Yaroslav Modry. Talk about the hockey whisperer, man. This guy comes into Provo to a new squad and doesn't just make them good. He makes them great. He makes them stellar. There's arguments that Provo might have been the best team out there in that division by the end of the year. They were just on fire, on a roll. Incredible season for Yaroslav Modry and the Provo Riverblades. But Lucas, I think you missed somebody here. And I get to scoop him up. The greatest third pick in coaching history here. How about Frankie Scarpacci, baby? I mean, this guy was in the national championship game. Frankie S., man. This guy, old blue eyes here, Frankie S. This Scarpacci, man, again, like, he's a young guy. He gets it. You put Coach Sanchez next to him. You got the big Frank, man. You got Frank Scarpacci behind him, too, in the ownership group there. And it's a family atmosphere. He does it right. And this year, they took that family atmosphere, that growth model they have, and they peppered in so much talent and so much skill around it. And this team this year, how many times do we watch them take an early lead and lock down? Yep. The systems play was absolute perfection this year. This team is growing year after year. Frankie Scarpacci, my final coach.
I love it. That's a great pick. I mean, you talk about fire. These are fiery coaching staffs. They're guys that are not afraid to really get teams going and not afraid to, like we said, to really get things lit up by themselves, right? They're one-man armies. And I think Frankie Scarpacci is just another good example of the young coaches. They're going to be running some pretty big shows in the next few years.
You talk about one-man armies. Well, this is a guy who understands that it takes a village to get it done. And this is my owner pick, Lucas. In the elite, I picked Ryan Crothers, and I could pick Ryan again, right? But I'm gonna give some love here to Jocelyn Langlois. Number one of my favorite people in the game. Like, this guy's awesome, man. And when they win the title, he's rocking the jeans and the flip-flop look, man. Anybody who rocks the jeans and the flip-flop look, I'm down. I like it, man. I like the vibe. And not only we talk about Ryan Crothers had an entire championship game that he owned, right? And Jocelyn's a part of that group. And the Rush, the Colonials, the Junior Canes, he had every team, it felt like, in the semifinals. He had every team that was in the finals. Jocelyn Langlois just continues to prove that you can invest, you can put your money where your mouth is, and creating a professional product and investing in a professional product, that's what gets you there. And he does that day in and day out.
Yeah. I mean, he's just that classic professional owner, a guy that's he's at ground zero. He's at these showcases. He's not just standing up in the booth watching, right? He's on the ground, making sure everything's running smooth, and that trickles down to the rest of his teams, the rest of that staff. A guy who puts professionalism and the product first. Dan, I've got a similar guy here. Again, it's almost like this Premier Division is chock full of these guys because I've got a guy who put the team almost literally on his back with a great staff around him all the way up and down. It's Tim Colpeen from the Elmira Junior Enforcers.
I love
And
it.
you want to talk about professionalism. This is a guy who, along with his organization, reached out to us early in the season and said, "Hey, we're going to be doing some games. We want you guys to come out and help us, right? We want you guys to come out and do commentary to promote the program." And they were one of our broadcasting partners throughout the year. And it's because the product they put on the ice was incredible. It's because they understand the value of professionalism. And that's the attitude you want from a guy like Tim Colpeen, because it absolutely works its way down into the rest of the organization.
Yeah, and Lucas, we're about to pick our broadcasters next year. And I mean, we could be the broadcaster of the year in the Premier because I felt like we were the Elmira Junior Enforcers home broadcast team. And that was thanks to, again, an owner who realized that, the investment is worth it, right? And it's anything we can do to put the spotlight on the players and, bringing in the most watched show in junior hockey and understanding that an investment like that is going to help out a team. It's going to help out players. It's going to help out the coaching staff. It's going to help out recruiting, and it's going to grow a brand. You look at the unis, you look at the building they play in. We got to go on the Jumbotron. That was awesome. Everything they do there is professional. I mean, Tim Colpeen is an absolute superstar. And his squad, they're creating his squad. It's created another squad in the Premier now for next year, the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Knights. I mean, you look at that squad. It's going to be run by Mr. Welsh. It's going to be run by Cody Murphy behind the bench. Elmira Junior Enforcers guys. I mean, he played a bunch of his games in Wilkes-Barre. It created this opportunity. And I mean, he didn't just grow his own squad. He's now created a new squad with his hard work. I'm so proud to be able to work with Tim Colpeen on a day in and day out basis. He's an incredible guy. And if you're looking for a place to play, look no further than Elmira. I'll tell you that much. Lucas, broadcaster. You get the first pick on broadcaster in the Premier. It's a big one because we made a lot of friends in the Premier. We've got a lot of folks who want this prize. They want this trophy of being the All-Dan K Premier broadcaster. Who you got?
Well, Dan, in my mind, there's only one person who at the start of the season reached out, started a conversation with the Dan K show because we had a bunch of new teams this year. And we thought to ourselves, well, how are we going to learn all about these teams? Well, this man reached out to us and he helped us learn. He taught us the ways of the Mountain Division. It's Brendan Price, not just broadcaster, but Mountain Division know-it-all. He knows it all, and he taught us and helped us with our coverage. And so I'm going to give it up to Brendan Price, who's got some of the smoothest pipes out there in that Mountain West Coast area.
He's a fun watch, man. Anytime we get a chance to watch Brendan Price, is a great time. He understands the big thing that I love about Brendan Price. It's the idea of it's easy to be a homer, right? It's easy to be the guy that's writing angry tweets or like talking about the team every day or shouting about everybody else, right? But it's hard to be the guy that's the whole mountain region guy. Like he's loco for noco, of course, but I mean he knows everything upside down, inside out about that Mountain Division. He's a huge help to us this season, and we loved getting a chance to work with Brendan Price. Great pick there. And I got to go for the young guy here. I got to go for the youngest broadcaster in the USPHL. I got to go for a guy in Hudson that you want to talk about. So many people at this level sometimes forget the importance of the video product, especially in a world where coaches aren't coming to the rink anymore. We've heard it from Christoph Oliwa. We've heard it from scouts around the league, college coaches. There's not as many trips available anymore to these rinks, right? So the video product becomes so important. How about a guy who, after his last broadcast this year, before he heads off to college, had the entire squad skate to center ice to cheer him on? Brian Moose, man. He's music to my ears, man. He is so good. He just beat me in our fantasy hockey league we got going on. He's making me look stupid there. But you know what? this young man has a humongous future ahead of him. And if anything, I'm going to buy favor with him now so he can buy me things later when he's rich and famous.
I mean, all these young guys coming in, right? Making us feel old, maybe not look old, hopefully, but definitely feel old. I love it. I love the next generation. I love the youthful aspect that he brings to the game, and it's youthful energy and professionalism, those two key components to a great broadcaster.
Now we have the next key component. These are our senior women administrators, and we talked about it last week. The USPHL has done such an incredible job to help grow the women's game and to partner with the PWHPA to play hockey games between the NCDC, the USPHL Premier, and those all-star teams that you've seen on TV, on NBC Sports, on NHL Network around the game of hockey. And there's so many women working throughout the USPHL, working throughout this league to grow the game of hockey for these young junior hockey players. And I get first pick here. And, you know, this isn't the easiest pick I've ever had to make, Lucas. And this is somebody who I've watched do some incredible work. You want to talk about the work that Jay Witta, my coach I traded for, has done with the Minnesota Blue Hawks? Well, how about Crystal Boudreau? Not only has Crystal been a vital, integral part in the Minnesota Blue Hawks' growth as an organization over the last few years, but now she and her husband Bruce and the whole Boudreau family are working to launch this Hershey Cubs organization out there in Hershey, Pennsylvania, an organization that if you're a young player looking for a place to play right now, you're out of your mind if Hershey is not on that short list. And Crystal Boudreau, I mean, she does it the right way. She is working around the clock. I mean, Lucas, I get emails from her all times of day and night because they're working so hard to grow this Hershey team. They're bringing in their first teams. They're starting up their first camps. They're having their tryouts and watching the work that goes into building one organization like the Minnesota Blue Hawks and doing it so professionally, and now doing it with the Hershey Cubs to take it on for a second time with a second organization. Incredible work by Crystal Boudreau.
Yeah, it's been one great thing after another. The train keeps on rolling, and the next stop is Hershey, Pennsylvania. Just understanding the game, and as we talked about, the game behind the game, right? It's not just about the guys on the ice. It's getting the infrastructure set up. It's getting everything done, and Crystal just has it on lock.
That's it, Lucas. You have a pick here now. Next,
so Dan, I think one of the things we've learned about a lot of coaches in the game of hockey is they'll never toot their own horn. And so that's why we exist. We have to do it for them sometimes. And I think Tina Sorrello will be the first person to tell you, don't talk about me. It's all about the organization, right? And the Metro Jets, they do have an organization like that, right? They don't have a head, an assistant, a this, a that. They're all coaches within the organization. They're all equal standing. And I think Coach Sorrello has really shown a mastery over the game. She has a ton of wins under her belt. And I think she's really proven herself as part of that staff. Obviously a little bit of a newcomer to the organization, but man, has she established herself quickly.
And it's just, I mean, the first woman head coach to win a USPHL game behind the bench. I mean, to work with MHC, to work with MJDP, to work with Metro, not just coaching one squad, coaching three organizations, coaching three full rosters. The work she does, the respect she garners in that locker room and around the game of hockey. And when we got a chance to talk to her and interview her, I was floored from start to finish of that interview. She's just somebody who gets this game better than most, and the future it's bright enough where you just can't see. It is absolutely sunshine bright. I cannot wait to see where Tina Sorrello's coaching career takes her next. And with that, Lucas, we know where the show takes us next. To the hardest part. This is the most difficult part, man. We're gonna be nice and add one extra player to the roster. That's as far as we'll go, though. This is supposed to be the hardest thing to do. 13 forwards, 7 defensemen, 3 goaltenders. All Dan K team, all Lucas J team. Lucas gets to pick his first forward line first. I will then get my first 2. Snake draft style. No snakes involved, though. Dan K, a little bit afraid of snakes. Not deathly afraid. I've had a snake around me. I'm totally fine with it. I held a python once. That was scary. Those things are strong. But it is still not my favorite thing. Stay away from snakes. Just a snake draft.
All right. Well, I'm actually
Although
really
if we did have a
happy.
snake draft, who would you pick? A python or a rattlesnake? Who you go for? Who's the first pick in a snake draft? Like a
The
cobra?
first pick, Dan, the first pick in an actual snake draft, I would probably say a python.
I'd go cobra because a python can get you, but they're pretty slow, man. They're pretty sluggish. They ain't coming after. Like they got to catch you by surprise. They got to surprise you with python.
Well, it's perfect for the way that I play the snake game there, Dan. It's slow, it's methodical, but when they get you, what to watch out.
I like it. Well, let's get into the actual drafting now. What were you saying before I so rudely cut you off?
No, I was saying I'm happy I got first pick because I knew exactly who I wanted, and we're gonna give you these lines here, Dan, and I get to kick things off. Left wing, right wing, centerman. Left wing position, Harris, the Sheriff Blackwood.
No, that's not allowed.
At the right
Cake
wing
pop.
position.
I'll give you another cake pop.
No more cake pops. I can't eat any more cake pops. I'm trying to outwork everyone. Left wing, Harris Blackwood. Right wing, Cole Krieger. Centerman, Nate Moore. And I'm really excited about this triumvirate here. We know how good Blackwood is because we've been talking about him all season long. And Krieger and Moore have put together some incredibly stellar seasons. 78 points for Krieger, 71 points for Moore. Moore, first year in the USPHL, at least with those Las Vegas Thunderbirds team. That was a team that very quietly racked up a very impressive season.
Yeah, and you talk about the Sheriff Harris Blackwood, and you come into Bridgewater, New Jersey, and you think what in tarnation are you thinking you're going to score on the Sheriff Harris Blackwood? He's large, he's in charge, and he's a goal-scoring machine. These are not real guns, by the way, Lucas. Just that was not real. I know special effects here are pretty good. We got a pretty big budget here with the Dan K Show.
Yeah, it's a budget.
Well, let's get into my high budget, my high flying top forward line. Left wing, centerman, right wing. Let's start on the left wing, Chicago Cougars own. Cougars. Joseph Martancic. So sick. The centerman, it's going to be Cody Carlson of the Minnesota Moose. Hashtag antlers up. And to his right, cheer EO. Kyle Watson. Watson, you're brilliant. How about that forward line?
I mean, that's an impressive forward line. Martancic, the leading points getter in the USPHL, crossed that century mark, hit that 106. That's an impressive number. But you gotta really love Carlson and Watson as well with him, Dan. This is a really impressive scoring line. Carlson's got a ton of points, but he's an assist guy, and I like that balance between the scorers and the assist getters. And Watson's just got so much skill.
What I like about Cody Carlson is he had what I call an easy 77 points. Okay, and that's a funny thing to say, but he's like a 56 assists for the young man. But you never felt like he's the kind of guy you could call a game, and he was in control. He was calm. He was cool. He's collected. Then you look at the point sheet, and the guy had 25 minutes played and 4 points and won every faceoff. And I mean, that's where he really shined. You talk about Kyle Watson. This is a guy who, this Hampton Roads Whalers team, they'll say it themselves, they didn't have the year they wanted to have full on, right? But he never struggled. He led this team from start to finish. He's a viral video superstar. Got hit in the face with a golf ball by his girlfriend, Lucas. That was insane. He's got 2.5 million views. Go to Barstool Sports, check it out. It's incredible. Kyle Watson, man, again, rough on him being a Liverpool fan, especially with the whole European Super League thing. They're trying to dodge playing Everton. They lose one game to Everton, and all of a sudden Liverpool leaves the league. And then you talk about Martancic. When you cross the century mark, you make my team. Last year, Coach Brad Stofers wanted to legitimately fight me because I left Joseph off the team. I won't do it again. He makes it here. Top forward line. Second forward line. To the left wing. From the Minnesota Blue Hawks. Life ain't rough when your name is Michael Clough. Centerman, man, get your suitcase out. It ain't a Samsonite. It's Samson. Nicholas Sampson, man, in the nick of time for the NoCo Eagles, Northern Colorado's own. To the right wing, what do the 5 fingers say to the hockey puck? Goal! Charlie Merkley is the right winger there from the Charlotte Rush.
Again, another great line here. You look at Clough, and again, It's that quiet performance, that assist heavy performance, huge on the power play assist too. And we watched Charlie Merkley, Dan, and he was an impact player even when he didn't have the puck. And Samson too. I love this Samson pick, and I think this is exactly right where he needs to get. If he fell any lower, it was going to be an absolute crime because of the season he had out in Noco.
It's a Dibble guy too, because I give you Dibble as a scout. You might have a guy like him next year in Charlie Merkley. You went and found this guy. But you talk about Merkley again, the hat trick hero. He owns every hat in Charlotte, North Carolina. Every hat at this point. They call him the Haberdasher, or at least I do. It's the Haberdashery Charlie Merkley. And then you talk about Nicholas Sampson, the centerman position. Again, I like centermen who win faceoffs. I like centermen who can control the puck. I like that Derek Stepan style of centerman, not afraid to mix it up, not afraid to be a blue-collar athlete here. And then you look at Michael Clough, and Michael Clough, year in and year out, continues to thrive in this Blue Ox system. An incredible season for him. I mean, and he's just one of the best guys out there, man. Like 47 assist season, 74 points this year. 2001 is an absolute stud. Incredible season for him. Lucas, your second and third forward line's coming up.
My second forward line, I like because it's speed and skill mixed together, kind of jumbled up, a little bit of chaos here from these guys. On the left wing, it's Jack Rogers. At the center position, it's Marcus Odermatt. And for my right winger, Dan, I like Ike. Isaiah Ike Frankel on the right. You know, Jack Rogers, we saw all season long make the most absurd plays, just skate the puck around everyone and find his way somehow to the front of the net. Joined by Marcus Odermatt, who we also saw. They went up against each other in the same series, and it was a heavyweight battle between those two. And I just love watching Ike Frankel play the game of hockey. Fast, physical, able to be out there on an island, create some space when he wants to, able to work really well in the systems play. Always got a head up. Such an intelligent skater. Had to have him. I think he fits great on the second line.
It's funny how this plays out for you, because this to me feels like this has third line written all over it, right? These are your third line grinders. These are the guys who are going to come out. They can play it all day long. I am the president of the Jack Rogers fan club. How can you take Jack Rogers from me? I've talked about Jack Rogers. The guy never quits. He's going to never say die attitude. He's a highlight reel waiting to happen. And the thing about his highlight reel goals when he scores them, my favorite part is they're not the highlight reel goals where it's all skill. It's all grinded out, steal pucks, battle on it, fight through bodies, squirt in the greasy areas, man. This guy scores goals with 75 Z's. He's greasy when he needs to be. And you talk about Odermatt, man, he'll take you to the mat any day. Speedster, great pick there. And Ike Frankel, man, I want to be like Ike. Like Ike Frankel is just, man, we've watched him for a couple of years now. Yeah. And I love watching this young man play. Great forward line for you.
Yeah, like I said, huge fan of that line. Now to my third line, I want to get things started with the Metro Jets development program and Joseph Mochnick on the left wing. He's going to be joined on the right wing by Stanley Lucas from the Tampa Bay Juniors. And in the middle of those two, another viral superstar, Dan, it's C.J. Zezima in the middle at the center position. This is huge.
C.J. Zezima in the third forward line, it's the greatest pick in the history of hockey. I can't believe I missed him until this point. I thought I was going to sneak him in after this round. When I saw when I was listening to you pick here, I was like, man, am I going to make it? Am I going to get Zezima back? I had him sitting in the computer right in front of me. C.J. Zezima. Open Zezima is what he says to goaltenders all day long. And then he take it to Mach 5 with Joey Mochnick, man. Mochnick has been a stellar player. That's an MJDP player picked before a Metro Jets player. It tells you just how deep this organization was in these two squads. And then Stanley Lucas, man. I mean, you got to have a guy named Lucas on your team. That is a rule. Yep. It's an unofficial rule. But again, like Stanley Lucas, this is a right winger that could play with anybody.
Yeah, 100% agree. Stanley Lucas has such good vision, such good intelligence. Zezima, an understated skill. Again, not a guy who will come out there and start walking around saying he's the best, so I'll have to do it for him. And Mochnick's an 0-2 with just an unlimited upside potential. I am so excited to follow his career and see what the next level has in store for him.
I tried to sit Indian style for this episode, Lucas, and I forgot how long it was going to take. I am in pain. My knees are hurting. Never sit Indian style when you're out of shape. Third forward line. Start with the left wing. Florida Eels own. Demid. Deposit in the back of the net. Padrazov. Demid Padrazov, the left winger. Centerman from the Provo River Blades. You have a great end of your season. You make a team. Michael Erstis, and to his right from the Pueblo, don't call me Pueblo Bulls, Benjamin Benny St. Ange.
I love it. That's great. St. Ange has made a few highlight reels so far this season, Dan. Erstis, part of that comeback Provo team, and Padrazov. Padrazov is a name that fans of the Dan K Show know and love. Is a player that fans of Florida teams other than the Eels hate because they hate having to play him. And if you're a Florida Eels fan, you love the leadership that he brings. You love the experience that he brings to the table and just the raw skill.
Yeah, and I mean, Benny with the good hair, Benny St. Ange, man, this is a guy, I'm making a Ben McAdoo joke from the Giants days. That's probably over the head of everybody here because nobody remembers Ben McAdoo. At least I try to forget about him every morning when I wake up. No, Benny McAdoo never happened. But we talk about Benjamin St. Ange. I mean, this guy is one of the best. And, I stole from Brendan Price. Brendan Price tweeted to us and he said, here's some of my thoughts for the all Dan KO Lucas J team. You look at Benny St. Ange and I mean, how are you going to go wrong? 11th in the league in points, 72 of them. And balance in scoring is what I always preach. 34 and 38 for the young man at 2001. You're a scout out there and you haven't looked at Benjamin St. Ange outside your mind. And Demid Padrazov, Michael Erstis. Erstis is a guy that went under the radar all year long, under the Dan K Show radar. And he's a guy who makes it to the third line centerman position. Again, less than 3% of the league. Actually, about 2.5% of the players to play in the Premier of this league will make these two sides. Michael Erstis makes it on the third forward line. Let's get to my fourth and final forward line. Left winger from the Utica Junior Comets.
Ooh.
He puts it in. It's Anthony Marin. Centerman for this fourth forward line. How about a guy who's going to take you to the woodshed here? It's Matty Wood laying the wood here with the big hard hits into the boards. Matt Wood, roll gens. Right wing, Luke Hartke of the Wisconsin Rapids River Kings, working Hartke for a living.
I love it. Hartke, we've covered the River Kings quite a bit, and Hartke always stands out to you. And Anthony Marin, I mean, you talk about the soul of a team, the soul of this Utica Comets team, absolutely firing things in there. And Matty Wood, I mean, just a grinder, a hard worker, a young man who absolutely has earned everything that he has gotten in his junior hockey career, and what a career it's been.
Great job by Matt Wood. I love watching him play. I picked this guy because, again, like when you put enough on tape for me, and tape matters very much. It's not just polish. But when you look at it, Matt Wood's a guy who puts everything on tape, and everything he puts on tape is that grinded out style. Again, keep talking about it. Anthony Marin, one of the most underrated players on the planet, gets his commitment. Congratulations to him going to play NCAA D3. And then Luke Hartke. This, I want to also point out Grant Newcomer and Nathan Bottles. This could have been Grant Newcomer. This could have been Nathan popping Bottles heading to Arcadia. But this spot for me, it was between the three of them. I couldn't flip a Buffalo nickel because it's not three-sided. And I go with Hartke, 76 points on the year. I want to talk balance and scoring, 38 and 38. 38 goals for, 38 assists for, 14 and 8 on the power play, 2 shorthanded goals. It's a year 2000. You want to close out your hockey career with a good season. I mean, Luke Hartke did just that, finishing the year in 6th in the league in points for. Lucas, your fourth and final forward line.
Well, I'm going to start things off with the Islanders Hockey Club and a super impressive player. Centerman, it's Ryan Barrett, and he's going to be joined on the right wing by Drake Barnish. And on the left wing, I think potentially the greatest name on my team, maybe a tie with Harris Blackwood. It's Stepan Skaversky. What a hockey name. What a hockey talent from Decatur. And this is a skater who came in and filled some big skates, Dan. And he really stepped into that role and led that Decatur Blaze team. He was the fire that started the Blaze.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, pretty versatile, Lucas, if you ask me. And he
Ooh.
is stepping on defensemen everywhere and scoring goals. How bad was that?
That gets about a 0.4 from the Russian judge, I think, there, Dan.
I like that. So
Pretty high.
that's pretty high. In classic Dan K Show fashion, you read that whole forward line, right? You said all three of those guys.
That's right.
Okay, I totally was like blanked out because I was reading a tweet from Ryan Crothers. But, Ryan Barrett, Drake Barnish, incredible players as well. I mean, Ryan Barrett, man, he's cut from the same cloth as Matty Irwin. You're going to sell me on that pick every time. That was going to be my last guy here. And then, Lucas, you have one more forward here to pick. I'm going to let you pick that one first in true snake draft style.
My last pick here, and I say last in a purely procedural form, is TJ Zebley. And Zebley's a skater who proved himself all year long, has had an absolutely phenomenal career, putting points up on the board, putting himself in good situations. You talk about hockey IQ. It's not a cliche with him. It's a guy who he has his head up all the time, not because he's looking to get involved, because he's surveying the scene. He can fit and adapt into any system you throw at him. He's a purely utility player. He can do anything you ask of him. He'll be excited to do anything you ask of him. And I think the greatest thing that I was disappointed, and I obviously know he was as well, is an injury he sustained just a few days before USPHL Nationals. And when he walked in to that rink, Dan, in a cast, and I looked at him, said, "Oh no, what happened?" So, again, not the ending he would have wanted, but an incredible player.
Yeah, and I remember seeing him a few years ago, man. He's one of the fastest skaters alive when he gets out there. And to see him not be able to participate at Nationals for a team that made it to the championship, he might have been that last piece to put him over the edge there. And you don't see him there. And Lucas, I have so many guys right now written on my list that have not been picked. You talk about Luke Volkman with the Utah Outliers. You talk about Anton Svensson with the Fresno Monsters. You talk about Shane Hemmer. You talk about a Gage Dill with the Florida Eagles. I mean, how about Gage Dill's season? I had him written down here as the pick, Gage Dill. And I'm in a bit of a pickle, you might say. But Gage Dill, incredible. Watch out for him this upcoming season. We're going to be doing some highlighter guys stuff this year, coming up, some highlighter players. And he's going to certainly be one of them for next year. But this go around, Lucas, I got to pick one guy. And he's Hemi tough. He's the Hemmer engine, Shane Hemmer of the Charlotte Rush, one of my favorite players on the planet of all time.
Yeah, I mean, what a season Hemmer had. A 2000 that brings all of that experience to bear. A tough player, a player you can count on, and that's what Hemmer was. A player you can absolutely count on all season.
Stellar athlete, stellar person off the ice. You get Shane Hemmer in your locker room. This is the captain of this team. Crazy enough, right? He's the last forward I picked. This is the guy I put the C on his chest for my side. That is my Capitan. That is El Capitan. That's the guy behind the wheel of the ship, like Dwight Schrute in that the one episode of The Office where the steering wheel doesn't work, but they're keeping him busy. But this case, it'll be a real working steering wheel because he is the captain of the ship. An incredible season for the Hemmer engine. And for all the forwards that didn't make the side, take it personally. I mean, you could talk about a million names right now. You could talk about Jared Fish. You could talk about Dylan Costello. You could talk about Kevin Johnston. 90 points on the year, second in the league, didn't make it. That's how hard it is to make this squad. Jake Muir didn't make it. It's ongoing. It'll go forever. But we got to keep going on, Lucas, because this show can't go on forever. Defenseman. We messed up last week. We didn't pick in the right order of a snake draft. This week we'll do it right. I get first pick. I'm taking Jordan Steer of the Wisconsin Rapids River Kings and Zach Correa of the Richmond Generals Royal Gents.
Very nice. Jordan Steer just proves himself year after year as the top defenseman in the league on both the offensive side of the game and the defensive side of the game. And that's what makes him so deadly, and Correa, kind of the same deal from him. Real physical guy, fits into that general system, and it's just so impressive.
Yeah, and Steer, to me, I mean, you talk about two guys who are stalwarts for their sides. Correa and Steer are those guys. Year in and year out, you look at Steer, you look at Correa, you know you are getting the absolute best. An incredible, incredible year for both of these defensemen. Lucas, your top D pair.
My top D pair are two guys that I was really, really impressed by this season. The first one is going to be Jacob Wiedemann from Carolina Junior Canes. And the second one, Dan, was so impressive. Quietly building a season, really capitalizing the playoffs. The man, the myth, the mustache, it's Tim Morgan Jr.
Ooh, the organ player, baby. The mustache. Mr. Mustachio. You need a mustache. You need a mustache. Cover up here. You just look cooler that way.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a guy with facial hair that was forever changing, forever moving, forever shaping and shifting and shifting and shaping. Tim Morgan is the absolute GOAT. And Wiedemann, man, with the Junior Canes. What did every team talk about going into the Premier Nationals? It's just no one wants to deal with the defense of the Junior Canes, and Wiedemann was at the head of it.
Yeah, Wiedemann really was. He really anchored that defensive core. And Tim Morgan, the thing that I think most impressed me about his play was, 38 points in the season as a defenseman. This kid comes out and he's ripping wristers from the blue line that are faster than some slap shots off of guys. He's just a big skater with a ton of speed and talent. I mean, unfortunately, he had to cut the hair and shave the mustache. There comes a time for all of us. But if there's one thing that hasn't come a time for right now, it is the end of Tim Morgan Jr. here, because, I mean, this is a guy who just has so much talent, so much ability, just a really great player to watch. And now, Dan, my second defensive line, I've got two other guys that are super fun to watch. Someone who really impressed me because of their speed is Wyatt Wong from the Rockets Hockey Club, and another really impressive guy is Drake Reed from the Elmira Junior Enforcers, two players we got to watch a lot this season.
Yeah, man, Drake Reed. He can read the situation. He can get things done. Used to call him on his cell phone, Drake Reed. I mean, this is a guy who you put him next to Will Darling, the darling of Elmira, and it was locked down all year long. Wyatt Wong and Drake Reed, the amount of times we watch them compete with one another, it's going to be tough to get them on the ice together, Lucas. They've been battling all year long. Now they got to be friends and they got to go skate together. It's going to be tough for you.
Well, Dan, I'm going to have to buy their allegiance with all the cake pops you traded me for my coaching staff earlier in the episode.
Next up for me, I got my second and third D pairs. I start with a group here. I go to the Metro Jets, and, I always like to look when we talk defensemen to, who was the best defense in the league statistically? And this team gave up nothing all year long. And yes, they had incredible goaltending, but they also had Joey Johnson of the Metro Jets. JJ gets in, along with Matty Forever Young of the Islanders Hockey Club.
Terrible pitch selection aside there, Dan. These are great pick selections. Joey Johnson, you look at, like you said, you look at the team with the best defense, you got to pick a defenseman from them. And Johnson was incredibly locked down. I love the fact that he didn't take a ton of penalties. As a defenseman, you never want to take those penalties. You want to stay in the game. And Matt Young as well. This IHC team was just so well-rounded all season long. They were so dominant. They even showed us up quite a bit, especially in January, February. So I think both these guys are very deserving.
Mighty Matt Young, man. So good for IHC. You saw them lock down against the Charlotte Rush, and he led the way. He's just so good on both ends of the ice, gets the job done. Let's talk about both ends of the ice now. My third D pair is the greatest D pair in the history of third D pairs of all time. And also, when I get a third D pair, these are my Yandel boys. These are my guys who are going to get out. This is like a PK Subban on the ice for a minute. Like in 1 minute, PK Subban takes, I think, 87 slap shots a minute at this point, just dropping clap bombs everywhere. That's what I'm expecting out of these two guys all day long. On the Case Canchis of the Northern Colorado Eagles and Simon Moteau of the Chicago Cougars. Cougars.
Well, Moteau put together an incredibly impressive season for a defenseman, averaging over 2 points a game. And this is a Cougars team that was firing on all cylinders and certainly, appreciated his contributions. And Case was certainly on the case all season long too. That NOCO team, Dan, was not a team that we, I think, ever really wanted to deal with. We were impressed with them in person. We were impressed with how they were able to handle changing landscapes out there, playing against some of those Midwest West teams, playing against obviously those Mountain Division teams. These are two guys who are incredibly critical to their squad.
Lucas, in 5 playoff games, Simon Mateau had 16 points. He was a defenseman. He led everybody in points in the postseason. The only person close to him was a man who almost made my forward squad, Nick Bear from the Elmira Junior Enforcers. This kid was unreal. He was unrealistic. He is a cheat code waiting to happen. And Case Kancias is one of the most balanced scoring defensemen of all time. And I got a chance to watch him play when we were out there in Chicago. And he's a highlighter guy. He's a highlighter player, man. The moment you see Case Kancias on the ice, you don't need a number. You don't need a nameplate. You know that Case is on the case. And that is where it goes. And Lucas, I'm going to let you pick your third D pair and your final defenseman, but I'm going to warn you that I'm going to break the rules and I'm going to pick a different guy than you think with my last pick. And you're going to have to pivot. But I'm going to warn you now, I'm not going to do it yet.
Out here, just straight up breaking the rules. Well,
I'm reading ahead to who you could possibly pick, and I know for a fact this guy's going to be available, and I totally overlooked it.
Well, I'll tell you what. I feel like I've overlooked a key tenet of Team Lucas J, which is defensive guys. I picked a few offensive defensemen here just because there was such a great opportunity to grab some great talent, some physical talent. But now I'm going to lock it down, Dan. I'm going to lock it down with 2 guys right off the bat here. The first one is Andrew Newsma from the Northern Cyclones. The second guy is Carter Stensland from the Pittsburgh Vengeance. And Newsma was part of one of the best defenses in that Premier Division, the Northern Cyclones. Same line of reasoning here. You have a great defense. You pick the defenseman from there. But Carter Stensland is a guy who we've watched now through 3 years of covering the league, starting with the Lansing Wolves, now on the Pittsburgh Vengeance. He's so good. He's so incredibly good. 6'1", 190, a 2,000, who's got years of experience, years of wisdom. He's got playoff experience too, Dan. His playoff career in 6 games, 5 points. So he's physical, he's fast, he's skilled, he can get it done. And Andrew Newsma, I mean, you want to talk about a wall? Newsma's the guy.
Yeah, man, you're going to be reading in the Newsma about Newsma for a long time. Stellar defenseman. And Carter Stensland, I could never say enough about the way that Carter plays, man. Stensland is extensive in his defensive ability.
Yeah, and Stensland, no stranger to the Team Lucas J as well. He's been on this squad before, Dan. I'm happy to have him back. My last defenseman, I saw Andrew Newsma, and I saw a guy right next to him. And I was trying to figure out who am I going to pick. And I said, well, why not pick them both? So I took Hunter Meyer, also from the Northern Cyclones. I've taken the best defense in the Premier Division in the USPHL, and I got the whole gosh darn thing on my side, Dan.
Lucas, that's an incredible pick. This Northern Cyclones organization is synonymous with great defense. Bill Weand over there behind the bench was an absolute lockdown guy. But you thought I was going to pick someone here
because I had good reason to.
You had very great reason, wonderful reason, the best of reasons. But Alex Davis of the Charlotte Rush is still sitting here somehow with the 14th pick. I get a young man that played 27 games this year in the USPHL at 36 points. He was the top D-man every time out when he took the ice for the Rush, had four Nationals points. He had 5 points in the leading into the Nationals play in the first round of the USPHL playoffs down there in the Southeast against the Hampton Roads Whalers. Alex Davis was the go-to guy for Trevor Jewell, for Ryan Crothers, for the entire Rush organization. When they needed a defensive stop, Davis was the man.
I mean, that's a great pick. And you make a great point. How is Davis still sitting here with essentially the final pick in the defenseman? You talk about what a defenseman is, right? And how many times do you find yourself yelling at the TV, come on, pinch the boards. Where is the defense? Why are you out of position? None of those things apply to Davis. He knows exactly where to be all the time, understands the fundamentals, gets it done.
Lucas, crazy enough, this show, I know it's airing on 4/22, but we're taping it here on April 20th, and that is the birthday of young Alex Davis. So happy birthday today in real time, but in 2 days from now when it airs, it's kind of a weird time travel type thing. But happy belated birthday, Mr. Alex Davis, and a birthday present of being on the All Dan K team.
Well, he's definitely got some friends on that team, and I feel like these defensemen, I feel like there's a group text somewhere already forming between a lot of these guys, trying to figure out ways to form a defensive super group.
Lucas,
Dan,
my defense is a defensive super group, by the way. Jordan Steers, Zach Correa, Joey Johnson, Matt Young, Case Canchis, Simon Mateau, and Alex Davis is unreal. But go ahead, you get your goaltender pick, do your thing.
well, here's the thing. The way you form a defensive super group is from the net out.
That's true.
You got to build from the net out. You got to pick a guy with your first pick who was one of the best netminders in the Premier all season long, who single-handedly who was the goaltender. He got his team there. And you talk about building from the net out. Who would I rather build around than a man whose nickname is Bubba? It's Bubba Battisti.
Wow. And Bubba was, I mean, that's my guy. Like, that's my guy. Like, when was I not talking about Bubba? I think 86% of Dan K Show content this year was Dan K talking about David Bubba Battisti. Like, this guy is the king, man. He's a great kid between the pipes. A kid I'm sad to see go. I mean, he's going to be moving on, man. He's moving to the next level. He's getting that big time promotion up there at the end. And that's what it's all about. That's what this game's all about. It's what the Rush do so well. And they do it again there. But you know what? The only thing that's gonna cure my Tuscaloosa heart from losing the great David Bubba Battisti are two goaltenders that have great nicknames in their own right from Dan K. The Dean of puck stopping, the Puck Swatter, the Haninator, Dean Hahn of the Islanders Hockey Club, joined by the French Wall, parlez-vous, Louis Pierre Fortier.
These are two great picks, and really using your snake draft strategy well here, Dan, because I mean, Dean Hahn, you talk about a guy who was really absolutely just furious in net, right? A 948 save percentage, 614 shots faced all season long. It's IHC team, the netminder is just as much a part of the offense as the defense. And Louis Pierre Fortier, again, Metro Jets, great defensive unit, absolutely incredible. And you got to pick the netminder from there. You got to pick the guy who really anchored that squad.
Yeah, and that's what Metro played from all year. I mean, the offense had its woes at times. There were times where they just lost the back of the net, and it came down to Louis Pierre Fortier, William Augustine. I am William Augustine back there stopping pucks each and every day. They got one of the best goaltending coaches on the planet, in the world, anywhere. I mean, Connor Hellebuck's working with him. And you look at Hahn, I mean, when you take Bubba Battisti, I mean, the crazy stat about Bubba Battisti we talked about is he saw more shots than anybody else close to him by a long shot, and still was in the top in the net minding categories of almost every single goal stopping category. But you got to go to guys that did it all statistically. And you look at Dean Hahn and Louis Pierre Fortier, the two best goals against averages in the league. Between the two of them, they lost twice in regulation in 45 starts. 45 starts, they lost twice in regulation, once in overtime. A 948 saves percentage for Dean Hahn. Almost 95. We talked about it. 9.1 is really good. 9.2, you're in the great. 9.3, you're in the outstanding, stellar, perfect. 9.94, get out of here. Stop playing. It's a cheat code. 9.5, just shut up. What are you doing? Dean Hahn was unreal. Lucas, your last two netminders, your last two picks in the All Dan K, All Lucas J draft for the Premier.
Well, for me, these last two are fairly straightforward for me here, Dan. The first guy is going to be Alexander Caron from the Florida Eels. And the second guy, hey, Vinny. It's Vinny Castelletti from the Blue Ox.
Oh man, and Vinny, what a kid Vinny is too. We had a chance to meet his dad out there at the Nationals, and like Vinny Castelletti, man, this is a young man who's had great goaltending coaching his whole life. He's had exposure to the NHL game. He knows how to stop pucks. The Blue Ox trust this young man with everything, man. They put a lot on his shoulders. He had a chance to work with the great Brady Boudreau between the pipes, really build his game this year. He grew himself to the next level. You look at Alexander the Great Caron too, man. You got Vinny and Caron. Like, this is just like Caron's a guy, man, who just says au revoir to pucks when they come by. He's a waffle boarding king, just swapping pucks away.
Yeah, and Dan, I feel like I picked these two guys not just off the back of their incredible regular season performance, but an absolutely stellar postseason performance as well. And that's it's go time, right? The regular season almost doesn't matter to these guys. And if you talk to a netminder, to them, it doesn't matter, right? Because you could have a really tough regular season and be absolutely lights out in the playoffs, or have a great regular season and just have nothing left in the tank. But these guys elevated an already impressive game when it mattered the most.
One more player will make our squads. When I tell you that right now I am looking at about 20 people who this should be, and I'm going to have to pick one, it literally breaks my heart. Like, not even joking, man. I'm not joking. Like, Cam Maluski, Kyle Meyer, William Augustine, Trevor Wong, Kyle McNair, Kenny Torelli, Michael Leonard, Riley Allen, Noah Bonvasuto, Hunter Thomas, Luke, the goal-scoring abuser, Jack Perna, Matthew Jonas, Trevor Lally, William Nepvu. I mean, you talk about it's just nonstop, never-ending. But I got to go with a man who was just misbehaving in net. You know what I mean? Danny Boy, the goal pipes were calling. Well, they weren't letting pucks in. The goal pipes stopped the pucks when they're around this young man. Daniel Miscavige of the Metro Jets development program, 1-3 on the year, 1.81 goals against average, a 9.3 saves percentage. This young man saw 544 shots. He allowed 38 home, 3 shutouts on the season, and really a guy who was just able to put this MJDP team on his back at times. And again, you talk about the goaltending coaching in the Metro Jets organization. Defense wins championships, and they do it better than anybody.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about the guys that you have represented from this squad. You've got a Jets defenseman, a Jets netminder, an MJDP netminder, and Daniel's just absolutely phenomenal, right? It's, again, you talk about when it matters most. It's a guy this team trusts, right? You need to be able to trust your netminder to not just make the routine saves, not just make the difficult saves, but to make the saves when you make the mistakes, when the defensemen and the forwards make the mistakes. And he is a guy that his team trusts.
This, again, for the players at home, if you made this squad, it's about 2.5% of the players that played in this league for the qualifying amount of games in our mind.
Yeah.
And even less when you talk about everybody that played this year with all the movement throughout the game. I mean, to be in the 2% of players, the less than 2%, such an accomplishment for you guys. I mean, and we are so proud of every player this season. I know we missed a million guys. I know there's a million guys we could have talked about here. And each and every one of you, man, take it personally. And not in a bad way, right? Like, but in the sense of Michael Jordan, it's always do it, man. Always realize that we need to keep working hard every day. There's always someone trying to outwork us, right? There's always someone trying to take my spot on the All Dan K team or All Lucas J team or on the roster I'm about to play on. Battle, boys. It's the off season. Hashtag outwork everyone. Lucas, your parting words, good sir. Yeah, I kind of agree with you. That's it. We made it through the hardest one of these. Next week, it'll be the NCDC, the All NCDC, All Dan K, and All Lucas J teams. And I'll close it out. We'll see what happens after that. That's going to be up to some folks who are a little higher up than we are in the world, and we'll see. But we keep going. For now, we thank Elite Junior Profiles. That is www.elitejrprofiles.com for being such an incredible grower of this game and all sports. You can, again, not just for your hockey player, go to elitejuniorprofiles.com, start your profile, remastered sleep. That's remasteredsleep.com. Fight snoring with just a sip. It is the water bottle of your dreams. All it is a water bottle. You just got to sip out of it and it changes your sleeping ability, man. It'll check it out. Go to the website. Don't take it from me because I don't know anything and I'm just over here yapping away. Finally, we talk about JDM Sports. We thank them. We thank Selly Salt. We got more partners, baby. Who wouldn't want a partner? Who wouldn't see the value of the most watched show in junior hockey? It's so crazy to me. And with that, Dan K, Lucas Jones, at the _ Dan K Show, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Reach out about our picks. Let us know what you loved, what you hated, who we missed. We'll love to talk about them all off season long. I will see you all in Detroit this weekend for the NCDC Combine. Don't miss out. Don't miss me in Detroit. If you see me, let's do an interview. When Dan K's on the mic, it's always hockey night.